Yes. Okay. Okay, that, and then to bring in the stream, we want the back end here. And we want to bring that down here so we can put that over here. That keeps an eyeball there. Move that over here, bring that here. I'm going to bring up the tab back here, and we'll just keep Mr. Kagame there. Get ready, Emmanuel. There's your president. Okay, and then in terms of other things, I really wanted to talk about Romeo Dallaire, but that is just what happened here. Just want to try again. Oh, there it is. It's back. It's back. Great, 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 great. So there we go. It's back. Nice, nice. And let me just get this here so I can see for now, but I think I'll just fly solo with that now. No, don't take that off, but take that. So I'm going to forget about that. Okay, I think we are ready to really go. I've brought us back, and I just want to do one final little check with everybody here. That's working there. Okay, we can see that up there. Yep, okay, good. Bring that back here. So finally, Andrew, still good? Nice, clean audio from me? Still?
I'd say so, yeah.
There should be. Oh, I know why. I know why. Okay. All right. So, yep. Nice, clean audio. Can you just say yup again, Andrew? I just need.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you, everybody, for being patient technically this morning. We just had a crash right at the beginning of the class, and I fixed it, got us reconnected, and I'm feeling really smart right now that I can manage the tech in a kind of little crisis and get everything reconnected. So welcome to Global Leader Wednesday, November the 26th for our, I think, 12th class of this semester. And we have 3 classes left. So we're really starting to come down now to the end of the semester. And here is what I love. I can actually move away from the podium today. I can move around, and I will be heard nice and clearly because this is working, no crackling and everything. So today we're going to take it up a notch in terms of interaction. Okay, so I just want you all to be ready. There's going to be quite a discussion here today. And in many ways, it's better that we have fewer rather than more. I would love to fill these couches and then we get this really going. But the ones who are here in person clearly are people who are ready to engage and are motivated and have also been writing some good things too. I saw Loma's second assignment that was in, and it looked very good. And I am seeing other second assignments coming in early for those that bonus, which is good. And I just want to explain briefly about that momentarily. But first, about today's class. Okay, essentially, what we're going to do today is more of what we've been doing, but we're going to drill down with a case study. That is what we've been doing largely in the second half of the semester, are these case studies of interesting global leaders, people who have distinguished themselves in one way or another and can teach us a lot about global leadership to inspire us. And I'm going back, of course, to the list that was kept very nicely by Kirsten in some notes. I was reviewing some notes from earlier in the semester, that great list of all the global leaders that we'd voted on. And of course, we have one case study still left to do, and that's next week, and that's Bob Marley. So we're going to do that next week. But I decided that for today's case study, given the fact that we have a person in the class from a country that is so important in today's topic, which is conflict. Conflict for global leaders. I thought that I would take as a case study the figure, come on in, Tisan, of Romeo Dallaire. It was a person that we had put on the list, but we didn't actually vote for, but he was there on the list. And I felt that we should bring him back and do a much deeper case study analysis of what happened when this Canadian general, a combat general actually, working for the United Nations, went to Rwanda to help bring about peace and failed. And I thought that there was also a great opportunity to explore this story because of the figure of the Rwandan leader, Paul Kagame, whom you're looking at behind me right now, who was instrumental in resolving the conflict in Rwanda with Romeo Dallaire's help to a small extent. And Paul Kagame has since become one of the longest serving African leaders in history. So we have, in a way, a perfect storm, but a storm in the most positive way. We have an amazing story that happened around a conflict that was huge, profound, with many, many lives lost. We have a Canadian, a person born outside this country who went there under the umbrella organization, our largest international organization, the United Nations, to bring leadership, global leadership, but failed and has talked about this. And then, of course, we have Emmanuel here, who is going to speak today more deeply about why his country is so important to him that he wants to go back and kind of be a leader there. But, you know, he already has an idea for a business that he's been talking about. And he, I think, doesn't realize how much is natural in him in terms of his leadership. But we saw that last week, I think, pretty clearly with the DC Talks event. I see Loma nodding, Kirsten nodding, that, you know, we had the college, many people here, we had distinguished guests here, the president, and, you know, as soon as we opened the class up to interaction and conversation, who was the first person to stand up and give his elevator pitch essentially to one of, so to me, whether he understand that is natural or not, it should demonstrate courage. Yeah. So, you know, let's watch how this is going to work today. Okay. I'm going to move this around, hold this to your mouth like karaoke. Okay. Because that way everybody will hear it really clearly. Okay. Go ahead.
So I've gotten this from Emmanuel almost every single class, but the DC Talks event really kind of shot it right out of the park.
Yeah.
With his leadership skills, for sure.
I would say that he needs to learn skills. There are skills, lots of skills.
There's always room for
he has a
improvement.
quality. There's a quality in there that I think he's demonstrating in the class.
There's a certain level of charisma that people can.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Andrew's on. Yeah.
And
he definitely shows
even
it.
the guests that we had at the DC Talks events even said that the skills that he has can't be taught.
I would disagree with that. Okay. I but it's interesting you brought that up. But I'll just say that I think they can, but there's a certain quality that's hard to teach. And that takes a little longer, and that's a certain kind of naturalness that you like to get up and talk in front of people. I think he has this. He doesn't realize it. So, but if it were all just born and not developed, Kirsten, then why would we have this class?
It'd be boring.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has the ability
Yeah.
to learn these things, but some need to practice a little longer than others. But there's a spark there. There's something
Sure.
happening in this guy.
For sure.
Okay. But thanks for. So just be aware that in terms of this moving around, and these are the microphones, and we can move them around. You can hold on to that now today. And Andrew, if anything happens technically today, just jump on your microphone and let us know something's not working or the microphone's not working. Okay.
Sounds
I
good.
appreciate that. But another thing that's really working now, which often doesn't, is look at how nice and live Andrew is because he's on his microphone. And I don't expect any other students to do this. I know that a lot of you don't want to be on your microphones and nobody wants to share their camera. Video, fine. But at least stay in the class, in the Cosmos, and watch how this can work like television when people actually buy into this and engage live just with their audio. Just that's all we need from Andrew. Then we can get really good interaction. I would hope that maybe Shona, Jacob, and others can be doing the same today, but we'll see. Okay, great. It's really such a pleasure for me to walk around this room like this and know that I can engage now and deal with content and not have to worry about the technical problem so much. So in a moment, I'm going to put you into little pairs and we're going to start something. But first, let's maintain our little structure. Could all of you here just go and put your names on board? Let's make sure that we have the onboard done. So we have everybody's names up here, okay? And we will see that behind me. And look at how fancy I can get for those of you over there. Here we go. The camera's falling. So now there is our onboard, and we can see them putting everything over there. And I will come back here while they're doing that and just talk to the Cosmos for a second. So for the Cosmos, is there anything Danveer, Shona, Mutadar, Harmanpreet, Andrew, or Jacob that you'd like to bring to the class's attention? Any questions you have at this point? Please feel free to put it in the live chat, or even better, do what Andrew's doing and jump on your microphone, okay? Go ahead.
It's pretty cool that I could speak and then a whole classroom of people can react in real time.
What? Here, Andrew, you can go ahead and tell them what to write on the board, even.
I mean, they're writing their names. I think that's pretty good so far.
Okay, yeah, good. So, Andrew, is there anything that you'd like to bring to the class's attention or just in general talk about?
I know, but I really liked the class last week. The DC Talks event was really opening and enlightening, especially seeing all the successful entrepreneurs that have come out of DC College.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious to see what others have to say about that. But we'll come back to that a little bit later because I really want to get into the
Hi, you guys hear me?
interaction. Yeah, who's that?
Muntader?
Great, Mutaded. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, have you guys talked about the new mayor of New York?
Oh, well,
Good old
very
Zohran Mamdani.
Yes, let's talk about him for a moment, okay? And I would always preface this by saying that as exciting as it is to talk about the United States, I would just let you know that the American senators who recently visited here actually said something quite profound in the last days. They said that Canada and the United States are in the midst of a cultural break. A cultural break. That's powerful. Whether that's truly happening or not, I've never heard such words said before. And so I say that only to remind you that while we're going to talk about the mayor, the young mayor of New York right now, fascinating story, and it is a fact that the world is moving away from the United States.
they're the
Now-
ones becoming isolationists on their own. I don't think we're
They
doing
are.
anything to them.
Think of the Prime Minister of Canada just yesterday apologize for something he didn't really have to apologize for, in my estimation, but he did. He had been asked at a previous press conference about the fact that he hasn't had any discussions with Donald Trump in the last 2 or 3 weeks. No uppercase email, text from Donald Trump apparently at 2 in the morning. I mean, he sends these things to all leaders around the world, not just on his Truth social media thing, you know. But he does this, and it drives people nuts. But Carney said, "Who cares about Donald Trump and tariffs?" This was after he had been in Africa at the G20 conference. He had just struck a deal with the Indian Prime Minister, a new deal. And then our Canadian Prime Minister asked about his contact with the American, said, "Who cares?" Immediately, the opposition jumped on this in Canada, Pierre Poilievre, and said the Prime Minister needs to apologize for dismissing Donald Trump like that. And he did. He did apologize. But this is a very interesting moment to be in Canada. So that's a long way of saying, let's have a little chat about this young, very interesting new mayor in New York, but let's do it within the context of understanding that we don't need to be talking about the United States as much as we used to. We should not be looking all the time to the United States for sources for our works cited page or our assignments. We should be going elsewhere for research. We don't need to be so focused on the United States as the central power in the world. And I say that not in any disparaging way. It's what they want. It's what the country wants. It's what Donald Trump said they want, which is they want to isolate themselves from the rest of the world. So, okay. Nonetheless, it's still an amazing nation. No question. So who is this new mayor? Mutader? Do you want to tell
Yes.
us who is this person? Go ahead.
So yeah, I just wanted to I brought him up because I think he's a very refreshing new um politician, right? I don't have anything to say, about him, his policies or anything like that, but I do think
Yes.
he's refreshing as in the way that he seems like he's very charismatic and he's very straightforward with the things he says, right? And he doesn't you know talk around and talk around circles, and he's always very direct with answering questions and things like that, right? And he doesn't
Yes.
shy away from anything like that.
How old is he?
I'm not
He's
too
like
sure.
what, 33, I think. He's very
Yeah,
young.
33. New mayor, 33. And
I'm gonna look it up quick just to
yeah,
make sure I'm not capping, but I believe so.
and how would you describe his sort of worldview, his outlook on things? His
34.
his
Yeah.
sort of very, very. He's 34. And how would you describe him as his character? Is he sort of more one who embraces cultures, or is more open to the rest of the world, or is he a pretty fierce, plant your flag in the ground American and to hell with the rest of the world? What would you say?
There's almost a blissful naivete in which he approaches subjects. However, he approaches them with such professionality that it just sounds like he knows what he's talking about. His little interview that he had with Trump the other day was like brilliant when it came to the way he could like shift a conversation, especially with someone that in theory he wouldn't get along with that well. He was
Sure.
having Trump eat right out of his hands like a bird with birdseed.
move it a little bit in so we can see you, the back of you. Yeah, just behind Kirsten. Just yeah, great. So they can see you. That yeah, blissful naivety. But he's young and he kind of represents maybe something new. Something new. So is that leadership? Is that global leadership? This you young New York mayor, would you say?
3,500%.
3,000. Okay,
If
great.
I may.
So next thing, let's get this name onto the board, okay? We need a scribe. Come on in. So we need someone doing the board. Would it, Kirsten, is it possible you could do the board or you want to do the notes right there? Okay. That's fine. They're good, but those notes are good too. I'd like to have just some notes there because they have key points that we can engage with. Come on in. How about Tissan? Are you prepared to do notes today? Yeah. Okay. Great. Do you want to go over there and we'll take a microphone because we may engage with you. Okay, a little bit more. Okay. So we need to write down the name of this person because we always want to be having good examples of. There we go. Oops. Hold on. Let me stop that. Of leaders. So could you make another slide and let's get his name down? The new mayor of New York. What's his name and how do we spell it? Zoran
Zohran Mamdani.
Yep. Tissan is writing it down over here. Hey, nice. And we even keep going. Yep. ZOH, Zoran. Nice. Way to go. And 34 years old. Yeah. 34 New York mayor, 34 years old. He's a candidate. No, is he a candidate for mayor? Yes.
No, he won.
But he won the election.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he's mayor. He's mayor
But
elect.
he hasn't taken office. He hasn't taken office.
January 1st.
Good, Rick. Thanks. Okay. January the 1st, 2026. An interesting date, for a new office can represent some kind of new future. Originally born in Kampala, Uganda? Wait a minute. That is Paul Kagame, not Zoran Mandami. Okay. And hold on. Shona's putting in the live
No,
chat.
he was born in Kampala, Uganda.
Zoran was born?
Yeah, he legally can't run for the presidency, but he's such a figure in the Democratic side of the party right now that he's kind of like a beacon of hope.
Can I just confirm, because this is one of those amazing. That tells me that today's class is destined, ordained from high above because of the connection between Paul Kagame, who was born in Uganda. I did not know that. So now we know this class has destiny written on it. Okay, great. So let's really get into this. Okay, we need to start with the interaction. Thanks, Tissan. We'll come back to you, but we've got the notes going. So here's what I'd like to do. Are you all ready in person here to engage a little bit? Because I'm going to do something a little bit different than what I thought. Given that it's a smaller class, I'm not going to have groups or pairs. I'm going to start just with you all like this. Okay, and we can even bring Tissan back in a moment. But I'm going to sit here and we're going to talk about conflict. Now, this is the hard thing to talk about. There's no question about this. what I'd like to do is discuss with all of you for the moment about how you deal with conflict and how you perceive conflict in the world. And then I'm going to go back to the podium, give a little bit of a lecture to set things up, and then Emmanuel is going to come in and he's going to finish the class with about 15 or 20 minutes where he's going to talk to us about why he wants to go home. Now, we've already talked about this last week. Emmanuel came in, again, showed initiative. Not all students do this. I was here on Friday, wrapping up short history of the world, and he came in and he said, "Hi, Lon, just wanted to check about next week. Are you planning to do that class, and what would you like to talk about?" So he showed initiative. I didn't have to email him and say blah blah blah. And we talked about what he might explain, and then he left. And I just thought that was great. You came and you took the initiative. That's another quality. Global leadership, or any kind of leadership, ultimately is about 4 letters. Care. Do you care? What do you care about? What do you have a burning desire to do? Maybe you don't have that. Maybe you do. But you all care about something. No question. So we need to care right now about conflict, because anybody who is in a position of any kind of leadership, whether it's working on campus in a group activity with your fellow students on an assignment, or as it gets bigger and you take on some larger project at the campus, you graduate and you start to look at how you could form your own company, form your own initiative, like some of the other guests that you met last week, or even more. You get involved in politics and you run for office and you get elected and you have a chance to really make an impact politically. You're going to be dealing with conflict all the time. If you don't want conflict and you hate conflict, then probably you should retire to a little cabin or a shack in the wilderness somewhere, set up your computer, and live as a hermit or a recluse by yourself. But if you're really going to engage with the world, you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. So that's a long way of saying I'd like to start today locally, which is we're going to start here. Then we're going to get global, when that is Rwanda, Romeo Dallaire, Paul Kagame, and how a conflict got resolved in a part of the world where hundreds of thousands of people were brutally slaughtered in the streets. This is global thinking. To be local. We're local, and then we're able to get global all at the same time. This is the mind that you need. So I would like to ask each one of you, is there a conflict that you've had in your life that has been very difficult? Now, you don't have to say anything. I'm not asking you to reveal anything personal that's uncomfortable. But there will be some students who are perfectly prepared to talk about these things. And that's great. But you don't have to. You don't have to share anything. But we need to at least get you thinking about how you deal with conflict in your own life. And what is conflict? And then we're going to go bigger. Okay? Make sense? Good. Okay, so let's start with Kirsten. And she's going to take a microphone. You've got the microphone? Great. So she's going to stay at her seat. She just turns it on. And for those of you in the Cosmos, please go ahead and start putting things into the live chat that we can also refer to. I'd like to see you a little bit engaged. Please don't ghost the class. I've noticed some students tend to do that. They're not really here, but they kind of are. If you're here, we want you here. Okay? Go ahead, Kristen.
So I've had a lot of conflict in my life, a lot. I am a single mom of 6 children. I had my first one at 16, so that was a lot of conflict. Going through school, having a newborn baby is not an easy feat. Going to college at 35 years old, almost 36, with 6 children at home is not an easy feat. So I have a lot of conflict and I tend to embrace it because without conflict, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I learned through my life. And having the experience that I have, even
Yes.
at DC. And I find that with all the conflict that I've dealt with, even in my time at DC, like I separated from my husband for 15 years during my time here. So just overcoming all of that, I tend to prioritize what needs to be dealt with first, what is the most catastrophic event, and then in order, just to make sure that that boulder kind of stays at bay. Because one slight move could make the boulder fall down
Talk
the
about
hill.
complexity. So everything's kind of connected here.
Yeah.
This is the complexity piece of leadership, global leader. There's so many pieces, moving parts
yeah.
in this. You know, you
Lot.
often face this. Go ahead.
And I think that all of that and what I've overcome and how I embrace conflict and walk up to it right in the face and be like, yeah, bring it on, is going to make me a really great nurse. Because I'm going to be dealing with a lot of conflict in my job.
Thank you for that. Hey, now, one of the really inspiring and exciting things about this class is we're going to learn from each other. And Tissan, anything you hear that you feel is a tip or something to learn from what a student says, just get it on the board, okay? You can just make it a stream of consciousness if you want. But I have heard the term embrace the conflict by people in very senior positions of power in the world. In fact, just recently, one of the most successful businesswomen in Asia, I forget her name, but she runs a large bank. She's been ranked as one of the most powerful women in Asia right now. And she talked about embracing the volatility of the markets today. Like everything's up and down, conflict. Embrace it, lean into it, don't run away from it. Okay, so here we have it on a smaller, and then it gets bigger. So did somebody want to add to that? Yeah, let's keep the mic. There's the microphone there. Yeah, sure. Okay, Kristen will be back. So you're okay? Yeah, yeah. All right. So we can move this microphone around, but Kirsten has to come back in a moment, or she has to leave. She'll come back. That's okay. She let me know. It's okay if people come and go. We started with Kirsten. Well, let's move this around. This is going to feel, in a moment, like a little pressure, which is good, because I think pressure, if you know how to deal with it, is a good thing. So here, Rhea, please go ahead. Oh, we have, thanks. So Shona, okay, Shona, are you able to get on your microphone and read that out loud, or should I read it?
Yeah, no problem. I can do that if everyone can hear me. Like
It's all working. It's all working. Go
Okay,
ahead.
perfect. So I said that conflict looks like a disagreement or a situation that can affect your personal or professional life. It's a part of life that can either break someone or help someone in their daily lives. And I deal with conflict by using something called the mediation process, which basically is an interest-based dispute resolution process. I'm in a class called No Drama Conflict and Resolution. So I'm kind of like familiar with this like conflict skill kind of thing. So basically, like the mediator, which is the person involved in the situation, is kind of like a neutral. So they kind of help uncover different things like in the situation. So
Yes.
I use that in my daily life, and I'm in a course that involves young children. So I work with young children to help them solve problems and conflict.
Excellent. Now, Shona, do you mind me just asking a little bit more, because I want to make sure everyone has a chance, or most, to give a conflict, because we're going to try and talk about case studies today, examples as much as possible. So Kirsten gave several examples from her life. In your life, in Shona's life, what is one of the most difficult conflicts that you have had to sort of deal with?
I would say, so I have two brothers that have autism, and it's really difficult to kind of communicate with them in this way. So I've had to kind of let my guard down a little bit because it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but there's some certain things that you can say and certain things that you can do that can affect someone that really bothers them. So I feel like in the situation, my brother was really upset that I said something to him that hurt his feelings, and
Yes.
I had to like sit him down and be like, this is not what I meant, and and how to solve that and stuff like that. So, and it's been difficult because of the fact that sometimes my brother can go nonverbal, and
Yes.
it's kind of difficult to communicate. So, I would say that would be my thing, and it's something that I deal with in
Yes.
my daily life as I live with them.
Yeah.
So, that's what I would say.
Thank you. And would you say patience is a critical quality, and the ability to communicate
100%.
and the ability to communicate clearly in times when,
Absolutely.
yeah, exactly. That's excellent. These are good, real examples of how people are dealing with conflict. It's so normal in our lives. And finally, I would ask, when you deal with a conflict successfully with your two brothers, what's the result generally? Like, are you in a better place together
Yeah,
after
usually
that?
we're in a better place. Yeah, absolutely. Because we're really close. Like, some of these conflicts are silly. So it's like we always come around and we're always really close, especially because they're younger than me. So we we are really close. We all feel like better about the situation. It's just that initial like sitting down, explaining and like talking to each other, making sure that we both understand each other before moving on to something.
Yeah. And do you ever feel that you, you actually feel greater love for the people around you, your brothers, when you and your brothers get through a conflict together? It's like you almost love them even more. You ever felt that?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Thanks, Shona. I just want to make sure. So if you go through a conflict, a difficult conflict, and you actually lean into it and you get into it and you manage it successfully, what can come out of it is that the people who were in conflict may actually have greater depth of feelings for each other for having come through the conflict. I can even speak about it in terms of my own marriage and relationships that I've had in my life, that, and particularly my marriage, that when my wife and I resolve something together and we go through it, it's like the love even deepens after that because the respect I have for her, and likewise in going through that conflict together and finding a solution, makes us even closer. So, okay, why don't we do a couple more and then we're going to get to Rwanda because you're going to see some things today that are really hard to look at. And I'm going to be showing you parts of a documentary about Romeo Dallaire. And then we're going to talk as well with Emmanuel, and I will tell you. So, it's going to get hard. There's going to be some real deep conflict that we're going to be getting into shortly. But let's keep going a little bit. So we've had Rhea, we've had Kirsten, we've had Shona. Uh, so Emmanuel's coming. So I'm wondering, but Tissan, would you like to? Okay, then come over here. You can stand up here, and I'll go over to the board. Okay, don't worry. Tissan's gonna come. Tissan is gonna come up. Huh? Okay. Do you want to say something? Oh, I thought you did. Oh, I'm in my mind. Ray has always got something. So, would you like to say something before Tissan comes up? Okay, come on up, and we'll just leave the notes for now. Here comes Tissan. Turn the microphone on, and yeah, let's hear about conflict, Ms. Batman. Yeah, let's see. I'll do it for you. Yeah. Yep. So it's okay. Close
One,
there.
two,
Yeah.
one, two.
Nice.
Okay. So recently we were given a group assignment. It was 5 persons. I made the fifth person, and we were to do like a Canva, a PowerPoint on any topic of our choosing. No, there was a lot of conflict between that. One, we were all from different cultures. Not only that, but it was hard for us to communicate and come to a consensus. So the assignment was given 1 month in advance, and I started working on it, but the other members, they weren't really doing much. And then as time went on, 1 week before the assignment, basically everything that I had put towards the assignment, there was kind of an overrule in terms of deleting that information and changing it to something different. So something that I didn't really agree with. But I feel like as a global leader, you have to learn to kind of compromise, not in the sense of, for example, if someone wants to cut down all the trees and you are saying like, let's keep the trees, not compromise when it's hard, like for example, a dangerous situation, but compromise when it was just a group work and I was like, okay. So as a global leader, sometimes you find yourself in situations like that where you don't necessarily agree with the majority ruling, but I had to like be in a situation where okay, this is what everyone is saying. Let's agree to disagree in this sentence. It was a lot of
Yes.
conflict, but how I kind of embrace, like Kirsten I said, embrace it, but not only that, but just compromise. So
I'm over at the board, so they'll be able to hear me, but you can see me. Okay. So, um, in your group assignment, how many people were there? Five. 5 people. Okay. So 5 people in the group. Were they from different backgrounds?
yes, they were.
Um, so there's Jason from Jamaica. Uh, the other 4, where do you know where they were from? Have an idea?
So I think one was Portuguese, one and half Canadian, one was half Canadian and Irish, and another was half Canadian and Jamaican.
Huh.
And I was just fully, Jamaican.
Did you, in this disagreement, were there any kind of problems around the way each of you sees the world because you're a little bit different?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
how did you deal with that?
Well, I think we had a 2-hour debate on explaining our own points.
Yes.
It was lunchtime and we were there for like 2 hours back and for like this is what I believe and I stand firmly on this. But this is what I believe and I stand firmly on this. I was like, so there were 2 other group members, like someone had said the mutual mediator that was supposed to
Yes.
be the mediator.
Shona. I think it was Shona. Yeah.
They had no opinion. So they were like, okay, anything anyone says, I'll agree with it. So it was hard for us to come to a conclusion because no one had an opinion. So I feel like we each need to have our own opinion on things in this life so that we can be of some benefit.
And why did no one have an opinion?
They were just, I don't know, they just anyone they were willing to agree with any one of us on anything. Like they didn't really have an opinion on. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm baffled myself.
Doesn't that make it difficult when you're dealing with a group of people, your team, if you will, and you really don't have a sense of where anybody's coming from? Nobody seems to. Isn't it better if people would just be a little bit more clear or try to be clear about their differences so that you can talk about these things as opposed to this murky, where does anybody stand here? I don't know anything. Right, right. They hadn't done the research, so they had nothing to say about it. That's an interesting comment. And so, in the end, were you satisfied with the assignment? Or are you still working on the assignment? Are you still?
We presented yesterday, but it was a case like we stand as a group. No man is an island. So even though it was kind of quote unquote not the best, I had to stand as a group. I couldn't say, oh, it was their part. I had to kind in a sense.
Yes, yes,
And say,
yes,
oh, I can't point fingers because we're one.
yes,
Professor is grading us as one. So
yes.
I
Yeah,
just had to be like, okay, I knew, but hey,
yeah.
it's mine.
You, I would say that the lesson here, one of the lessons that may not be so apparent, is that when you're leading something and you're going to be going public eventually, I would say that the presentation part is the public part. If you don't work on the conflicts before you go public, then you have to make sure that when you are going public, the conflict is behind you. Don't try and continue the conflict in front of everybody else. If you haven't dealt with the conflict before the event, then you have to say to yourself, I'm going to have to put that aside now. And when we go in front of the rest of the world, we're a team now. We're a team. It may be, it may be that behind the scenes, before you went public, you didn't have the skill or the courage or the ability to confront others and deal with the problems. You should. You should be ready always at any time to deal with these problems. But so many of us hate dealing with conflict. They hate dealing with people that they have to present bad news to. Don't do that in public with your team. That's poison. Do it behind the scenes, but get it worked out. Get it worked out. So you kind of worked it out, but you did the right thing in the end. That you came, and once you're public, you're a team now. You know, but maybe next time you might want to work a little harder to get things resolved behind the scenes. You did. Okay. Okay, you did your best. Great. Okay. Good example, Tisan. Thank you. And take the pen. Excellent. Okay, I think we should move this on, and we can always come back to examples, okay? uh, because the really important part of today's class is what we're about to learn from this bigger conflict. So, yep, sure, go ahead. Good, Shona. And Shona, I just wanted to ask in terms of how that all unfolded technically with Tisan on the microphone, me at the board, and everything nice and pretty flawless, feeling more like television a little bit.
Definitely, yeah.
Good.
Heard
Okay.
everything clearly and seen everything clearly.
Good. Okay. It's great. Okay. So, I'm going to start. Emmanuel knows this story very well because he lived through this, but he's going to be back shortly, and then he's going to help us to go through this. He will fill in more of the details, but essentially, what we're going to do now is go global. And we're going to take this idea of this sort of local interaction that we've had, where we've just dealt with our own lives and what's happening here around conflict, just very introductory. And we're going to broaden this now to conflict in the rest of the world. This local mindset that I've touched on, and I've put it's on DC Connect. Anytime you come to the DC Connect page, on the content page, you should land on a card that says "To Be Local," and I'll just bring this here. There it is. Oh, excellent. Things are going to work. Nice. I just brought the content up fast. The mindset of being able to see what's happening in the rest of the world in order to solve your own local conflicts is a very particular mindset to the world we live in today. You have access through the internet and through all sorts of other means to what's happening in the rest of the world at your fingertips. And so whenever you're going through something, or whenever you want to know something, it's a wise thing to see what's happening elsewhere in the world, because maybe there will be some better ideas out there about how people deal with things. And frankly, I think this is one of the most beautiful parts of the interconnected world we live in today. And that is that our hyper connection, which does have some pretty dark aspects, also has some beautiful things. And that is that we can learn so much from other people around the world and what they're going through. So let's just take this a little bit more slowly today. And I'm going to try and give this lecture in 5 minutes or so, just very introductory, but I'm going to try and make sure the tech is working today. There is the world behind me. And in this part of the world here, I'm going to zoom in right here as we keep going and going and going. Right here, there is a very small country. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is a huge part of Africa, and that's another story. But if you keep going and keep going and keep going, I think I'm zoomed in as much as I can, you will see right east of Rwanda, to the north, a country called Uganda, and then a really small country called Rwanda right there. And we're going to be learning a lot now about a conflict that has played out in Rwanda, but that spread to the rest of the world, drew in the United Nations, and drew in a Canadian named Romeo Dallaire, whom you see behind me as well. And we've also just learned that the other global leader we put up on the board today in New York was born in Uganda too. So these two countries, Uganda and Rwanda, are very important today, but particularly Rwanda. I just want to thank, before we really get going, Emmanuel, for having early on in the semester told us that he was from Rwanda and knew who Romeo Dallaire was and began to tell us about what had happened in his country, the conflict there that had been so deep and so bloody and so devastating and so global. And I want to explore this conflict more right now, but I want to explore it in terms of success. Now, it may seem like it's not possible to have a successful resolution to a conflict. I'm not even sure that the conflict that happened there between two great nations or tribes, Rwanda, the Tutsi people and the Hutu people, who had been in deep conflict through the centuries already. And then this cultural conflict erupted in the 1990s, despite the efforts of Romeo Dallaire, and led to, well, when you see the video of Romeo Dallaire, you're going to see some very awful things, but you kind of need to see how violent it became to understand just how deep this conflict went. But the conflict was resolved. And there's a reason why it was resolved, and it has something to do with a person who had been born in Rwanda and came back, so had been born in Uganda, Paul Kagame, and as a young man had been living in kind of exile or abroad in another country, kind of just the way Emmanuel is right now. I wouldn't say he's living in exile. You go to another country when you want to leave for a long period because you don't want to be in your home country anymore because of the conflict or something else, and you live elsewhere and you live in exile. And many people did that, for example, during the Second World War. Many Germans or Jews left Germany as Hitler was coming to power, and they moved to the United States and they lived in exile there and eventually stayed there. But in Emmanuel's case, he's come abroad, but he's going to go back. And he's going to go back in some part because the conflict got resolved. Maybe not. Interesting to see what he has to say about this, if the war was still going on there, but we'll get to that. But in a moment, he's going to speak about why he wants to go back to Rwanda and what he plans to do there. But I want to show you the depths of this conflict. And it took its toll on not just the Rwandans, the hundreds and thousands, close to 1 million, who died during this eruption of tribal savagery. But it had its casualty in Romeo Dallaire, too, a Canadian general who went there. And in the end, he could not succeed. And he has a very interesting story to tell as well. I want to run this brief 3-minute trailer for a documentary that was made about his mission there in the 1990s called Shake Hands with the Devil. And that time when he was there, brought in by the United Nations to prevent the eruption that eventually happened in Rwanda, that is something that he can speak to, and he has spoken to at length. And not only has there been a documentary made about this, but there have been films as well. Hotel Rwanda, I believe, is another a feature film that has been made that refers to the conflict. Shake Hands with the Devil, the documentary, has been made into a feature film in Canada. There's a book as well. So it's a very important story. But this is the documentary. And I'm going to run this and for 3 minutes. Just a little bit of trigger warning for some of you. You're going to see some stark scenes here, some very stark stuff. But you will understand a little bit about how profound this conflict was and why a young man like Emmanuel from that country coming and standing up here and talking about how he's going to go back and this is his nation should be something that will inspire us all for the hope it gives that we humans, we can solve very, very difficult conflicts. May not completely, but when you see what they had there and how difficult it was, and when you see where they are now in the figure of Emmanuel, and that should tell us something about success in leadership. Something good did happen there. But here's the bad. So for those of you in the cosmos, please go to YouTube and just just enter Shake Hands with the Devil trailer, okay, documentary trailer. It's made by White Pine Productions. It's a Canadian production company. Could you please all just watch that now on your own? Make sure you mute your microphones, and I'm going to show it to everybody here, okay? So go ahead, watch it on your own, and I'm going to run this now. Let's make sure this is working. We have the audio. Excellent. This is very difficult to watch. It's just an introduction. But I want you to just take a breath for a moment because you're looking at human savagery and brutality as a result of a conflict that seemed impossible to resolve. And it would go on and on. And there is an individual here who actually was a leader, a Rwandan who was living in Uganda at that time and put together an army and came back. And through his collaboration to some extent, Paul Kagame, you see him there in military uniform, he was able to stabilize the conflict there, end the conflict, and begin a period of recovery and prosperity in Rwanda that has led to young people being able to leave the country, having a little bit more money and hope. And the result is Emmanuel Butera, a young Rwandan who we have all noticed has some special quality. What does that tell you about the ability of us humans to resolve conflicts if we are prepared to do it? Now, what happened? How was this conflict resolved? There is a great story there, but I want to concentrate on a couple of things before Emmanuel comes up. First, to remind you about the leadership that took place with this person, Romeo Dallaire. He cared so much about his mission from the United Nations to go there and bring peace that he internalized his own anguish to the point where he realized he could not get the support from the United Nations that he kept asking for. That's what the documentary was referring to. Stephen Lewis, the other person who's interviewed there, who talked about the naivete of Romeo Dallaire. Stephen Lewis is a long-time diplomat in Canada. He was Canada's United Nations representative at that time. Stephen Lewis used to be head of the New Democratic Party in Ontario. His father, David Lewis, was the head of the New Democratic Party in Canada at one point and helped to bring in the national health care system in Canada. Stephen Lewis knows a lot about global politics. And he said that he thought Romeo Dallaire had been a bit naive in his expectations. Perhaps, but he cared deeply. And in the end, when he failed and when this slaughter began, he realized that he was helpless to save this. And this is what he carried with him back home to Canada. And that led to his depression that he's written openly about, post traumatic stress disorder, suicide attempts, recovery, therapy, some medication, some help. And now he's become, in some ways, an even more impactful global leader in mental health for men in the military and elsewhere. So he has gone on to do what he can with his skills and his caring to have an impact. Paul Kagame, as I mentioned at the beginning, he has remained in power as president of Rwanda. He has been celebrated by many for what he has done, but he also has his critics. Some have said that the longer he's remained in power, the more authoritarian he's become and the more repressive he has started to become. And that this is something we have to be aware of. And this is a problem. Very often, people in power, the longer they stay in, become so entrenched that they lose sight of sometimes what they were meant to be there for from the beginning, and they care only about staying in power. I don't know if that's true with Paul Kagame. However you think about him, he is a remarkable figure in global leadership. So we here have a moment in the class where we're talking about global leadership, global failure, all of these things. And I'd like to end the class with Emmanuel coming up and telling us what he wants to tell us that he thinks we should know about his country, so much so that he wants to go back. And you may have questions for him. I'll let him answer them. I'll help him the best I can. He did speak early on in the semester, but now he's really going to have a chance to talk. So, Emmanuel, you want to come up and take the microphone? You have the microphone here. Come on up. This is yours, and you can stand anywhere you like. You don't need to be in front of the laptop anymore. So wherever you're most comfortable, okay? And I'll be ready. Just turn it on, hold it close, and we're going to end the class today with an emerging global leader, like all of you. He has a story. Here, I'll hold it for you because sometimes you. Okay. Oh, you're a little under the weather, right? Okay, so we'll keep our distance, but thanks for taking the mask off so we can see you. All right, go for it. Okay.
All right. I don't know why, but yeah.
You got
Anyways,
suave
yeah,
Emmanuel today. Ooh.
You all have your phones, right? So open your phone and go to Instagram. Even others online, you go to Instagram and go to this account. Just type in Rwanda. All right. Just type in Rwanda and you'll see. I think it's Rwanda with two underscore thingies, and then you'll see the first video. The first video that's pinned. It's don't go to any other accounts. It's a verified account. It's Rwanda in small letters with two underscores. I want you to look at the first video that is pinned. That is Rwanda live. That is what's Rwanda right now. And
did everybody hear that clearly in the Cosmos? I just want to make sure I'm letting him direct you and the microphone. Andrew, you there? Let's just see. Yeah, good. Okay, go ahead.
Hello.
Keep
Yes.
going.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Thanks, guys. Go ahead.
It's
good.
the count is Rwanda in small letters, two underscores, verified account. Just look through the first pin video. I think you might have seen it now. All right. So that is the country, and then there's also another truth to it. There's the country right now. I don't know if my phone. I'll let you just take a
Okay,
look at it.
great.
So
Thanks.
that is Rwanda right now. Rwanda is the
Good.
highest touring place in Africa. Rwanda is the highest growing economy in Africa. Rwanda is the highest group has the highest group of investments in Africa. Rwanda is known as a global place for different meetings. I don't know if you guys know what Chogam is, but yeah, that is one global meeting that happened. You know, if you know about, we host different meetings, and it has come to be a place where different places in the world come to meet from.
Different cultures, people
Yes,
come together.
yeah.
Great.
Now, 30 years ago, that wouldn't have happened.
Hmm.
That wouldn't be what you see now. I don't know if you can keep on scrolling in the account to really understand. But then yeah, right now it just so I'm not very sure that that would have happened 30 years ago. All right. Now we have the country has improved drastically. All right. We have very many schools. We have very many good universities that come in our country. You know, people from different countries in Africa come to our country for education and all these things. You would ask, why am I here? And yeah, I'll let you know. So why did this happen? You know, just in a span of 30 years, because 30 years from now the country was dust. All right, 31 actually. Country was just out of 100 days of war, and it was terrible. All right, over a span of 1 million people died. Okay, in just 100 days.
Yeah.
That's massive killing.
It was so fast. That was part of the, yeah,
That is true. And then
yeah, 100 days.
the truth is that it takes courage. All right, it takes courage and it takes character. It takes courage and character and dignity to do what the person I'm going to speak about did. And I'm actually going to speak of two. So it was a man called Paul Kagame. I know you've heard of him. He's just right here in military uniform. And there's also Gisar Guijema, whom you truly haven't heard of. Now,
Hmm.
this is a man who was very close friends with Paul Kagame. However, unfortunately, in 1990, when they were wanted to liberate the country, then he was shot and killed at the border. So he never really saw what came to be. All right. And this time, 1990, Paul Kagame was in America. All right. He had gone for military training, and he was actually a military army of Uganda. All right. And so he helped Yoweri Museveni, who's the current president of Uganda, to really capture the nation from uh, another leader that at the time was not very good. So when they helped capture the country of Uganda, the people who ran from the country of Rwanda in 1959, because that's when it's a long history. But then,
It's complicated, but let's just say, just so that we don't have to get into all the details, but we're talking about a profound historical conflict between two different tribes or communities, the Hutu and the Tutsi. And that's all you really need to know at this point. Why, they've had this conflict and how it's played out. Well, you can see conflicts like this all over the world between different cultures, that go back in time. But this was a very deep, profound one, and it resulted in a lot of people leaving the country in the 1950s and the 1960s. And
thank you.
yeah,
So what happened was when they captured the country of Uganda, because some refugees who had come from Rwanda early on came and helped the country, and they captured Uganda. And they're like, why can't we also, capture our nation, and we can make back our nation? We can take back our nation to what we love it to be. All right. And the truth is, that was a tough thing to say, all right, because there was a place where you ran from because they didn't want you, all right? They didn't like you, not because you did anything wrong, but just because someone from Europe came and said you're this and you're this. So you are more superior to this, regardless, not because of any other thing, but just because they wanted to divide us. Mind you, Rwanda was one of the toughest nations in the country, as you can in Africa, before colonialism and everything. As you can see, Rwanda is very small. Before we had a king, it was called Gomijana. The reason why he was called Gomijana is because he loved conquering land. Okay, so very huge part of DRC, very huge part of Uganda, and all the way up there was actually Rwanda. Huge part of DRC, huge part of Uganda was Rwanda until all these things, because that showed unity. We were one and we loved land and we brought people together and we had a very huge land. However, when colonialism began, that's when we were torn. Anyways, that's just a huge.
Do you want to come here and come closer just so we give you the microphone, okay? And today, because we can actually just as long as you're heard. Okay, hold on. Let me just yeah, hold it. Karaoke. Okay, go ahead. Yep.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but wasn't there a certain time when Rwanda was Rhodesia? Is that the same country? Rwanda and Rhodesia? Was that like
No.
part of the colonial history? No? Where was that then? Does anyone know?
Rhodesia today would be, I think, Robert Mugabe had been the leader there. It would be Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe. So we go down, here, and we'll see Zimbabwe,
Okay.
Zambia, and that's Zimbabwe. Okay, that's a different. That was formerly Rhodesia. That's the name that the British had given. There's there's another amazing story about all the European powers and slavery in this part of the world, but let's just say that in the 20th century, many of these nations were able to free themselves from colonial oppression and become independent again. So Rhodesia went back to the name Zimbabwe. Okay?
Pardon my ignorance. My bad.
Go ahead. Yeah. Good. Anything else? You good? Yeah. So please continue and make sure before we finish, we only have 5 more minutes. I want to make sure that they understand why you want to return there and what you plan to do. And you've already given a little bit of a sense of it, of the love of the land. The love of the land. It's such a powerful thing. Go on.
Thank you. So I've given you a picture, of what it was and what it came to be, after the killing and all these things. And then Paul Kagame flew in and came back to Uganda, gathered his troops among 600 men, and they came in and they liberated the country. All right, and they were led by none other than Paul Kagame. All right, so when they captured the land, everything was just wrong. Right? There was nothing to start. All right, it was just flat on the surface. All right, there was no economy. There was nothing.
Yeah.
It was very devastating. Okay, so we had to build from scratch, and seeing that would be very devastating. All right, it would be very sad and very you would just give up. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even try to liberate the country. I'd stay in America. You understand? This man came all the way to liberate the country. He had nothing to earn, but everything to lose. Still came and liberated the country. Now, when you see when he came into a country and where the country is now, there's a very tragic difference. All right? There is absolutely a huge difference. There are very many countries that I won't say haven't gone through tough times, but most definitely haven't gone through what we have gone through. But the truth is, we stand stronger today, and we stand united more than them. The question is why? It's because someone decided to make a right choice. Now, I have heard him saying, thank you so much for highlighting. He said he has been in power for a very long time.
Yeah.
How many people hate a good leader?
How many people hate
A good leader.
a good leader?
Yeah, that's my question.
That's a good. How many people hate a good leader?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. This
Who would
is
who would
interesting.
hate a good
Miriam,
leader?
hate a good leader. What do you mean by a good leader?
I'll come to your point.
Okay, I think Miriam. Yeah, come by and sit on the couch and take a microphone. Okay, so it's okay. We're a lot more technically capable today to handle this. Okay, so go ahead.
I was about to say the only group of people that I can say would hate a good leader is those who want to like pillage and take advantage of a land without a good leader.
All right. That's actually a very good answer.
Hmm.
And then, which brings me to what I'm going to continue to say. So, as you can see, this man brought our country from nothing to something. All right. I'm a very, sorry, religious person. I know there's nothing to do with it. But then I believe that, God had a purpose for his life. And his purpose was to come and do something for a nation. Now, the question is, he's been in power for so long. My question is, my answer is, I don't have a problem with that. All right. Because me as a Rwandan, all right, I'm able to work, earn money, sleep somewhere, and live a very decent and not very expensive life. All right. Now, is that the case for every single individual in Rwanda? Absolutely not. There are people who are well off and people who are not. But then guess what? This man started a foundation called Every Cow, like cow per person. All right. So he gave a cow to each family in Rwanda so that they could survive.
He gave a cow.
Cow.
That's what a detail. This is a great detail. He gave a cow. Think
Yeah.
about it. The meaning of this. It's a great, great detail.
What would a cow do for you? A cow, you milk it, it gives you milk, and then after a year, it gives birth. So you have a growing economy. Right now, he just built over 200 homes for people without houses. So listen, the thing is, even of course, we're in life we're gonna have people who are poor and people who are rich. But what are you doing for those who are, not able to? All right. And I could keep on speaking about all the good things, but then if we come to me personally as a Rwandan who stands here today, he said that I want to go back. Why do I want to go
Yeah.
back? The truth is, I have always been there. All right. The question is, why did I come? Now, I came because I was curious. All right. Not that I wasn't satisfied with what I was seeing, but then I had the opportunity, which very few people have. All right, to be able to finance myself and go abroad and study and actually see. I chose to take that opportunity, God willing, and thank God for that. But then I chose to take that opportunity and step out and be like, what's out there? Why? Because
What's out there?
country,
What's out
my
there?
country was in a position to allow me to do that. There are very many countries which aren't able, even though you have the means, just because you're from a certain country, you're not able to do certain things. But then my country has been in good terms with other countries, in good understandings with all these good connections, which is something that you can see from the top, from the leader. All right. Recently, votes happened in 2024. All right, where he campaigned again. He got 98% of all the votes.
Was it a free and fair election, or is it possible
Listen.
there's some rottenness at work
Listen.
there? Okay, just asking.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful question.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
ask it.
The reason why I say 98 is because I'm sure it's 99, but I'm also not that sure. Listen, if someone does you good and keeps on improving your development as an
Yes.
individual.
Yes.
You're not going to deny it. And another thing is, I told you that I'm here due to that. Not even though I had these things, he gives me a vision for tomorrow. In our country, they teach us, we have a genocide memorial thing for every year. It happens in April for the whole month, where it's called Kwibuka. We remember, what happened. Now, the sense of remembering, he says in his own words, you cannot repeat the devastating that you always remember. All right. So when you always remember something and you remember where it led, you will not be able to repeat it. Now, me myself, I had I have good this and that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, saying I see the pain that over the 600 soldiers that entered our country with literally so hopeful but so hopeless again. They were just 600 over a country, and then I see their dreams and their vision of what this country would be. All right, and I'm like, maybe their stories and their plans shouldn't go to waste. All right, the struggles and what they went through shouldn't go to waste. Why am I here? I am here to see what this country has. I'm here to see around and look around and be like, oh, there's this, there's this, there's this. Why can I not do it in my country? That's why I'm here. I do not want to be a political leader. I have zero interest in that. All I think about is I think about this soldier's blood. All right, they thought and they're like, yes, there is a good tomorrow for Rwandans, and they chose to die for it. So there's nothing. I personally I do less. If there's someone who actually cared more about it and did more about it, then yes, because we need I need to go back. All right, I need to go back. I'm not saying it as if I'm going to do anything huge. I'm just going to be part of a community I love
Yes.
and the stand for the people who fought for the country and live in it. All right, very many
Yeah.
people come here for look for stable lives and all these things. You can find that in my country.
Well, let's just say this because I have to. I'm just watching
And
time
I think,
too.
yeah, I think I'm done.
You have a vision for tomorrow. You said that Paul Kagame gave Rwandans a vision for tomorrow. You are maybe a living, breathing example of a vision for tomorrow. And in your time here, I hope you're going to be able to develop that vision even more. And can we give him a big, just for everybody educating us, helping us to understand? I want to continue. It's just time, and another professor is coming in. We will review this next week. Next week, we're going to take a deep plunge into the story of Bob Marley and his global leadership. And then we'll continue. I look forward to your discussion posts about today's class, your question and others. You know where to find me. I'm sorry I had to cut this short, but we can continue next week, okay? Good. Get better, okay, Emmanuel? Take care. We have good notes from Tassan. I'm going to just shut down now. See you next week, everybody. Okay, let me just get the live chat.
See you next week. Have a good day. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Great. Okay, and then, oh, I got the chat. Go for the chat. I'm going to stop the stream.